the world has changed, and the world that you will face as senior scientists will be at least a little bit different from what it is today. Okay? So, what I think that happened, it's a little bit like this movie. Okay, it looks fun, no? I've seen this movie like 30 times when I was a teenager. No, I didn't want to be a pilot, but I have these friends that wanted to be a pilot, and they went to a piloting school. Okay, so I had to see Top Gun with them like about 30 times. But in this movie, and this is interesting because I usually get information, valuable information, even from stupid things like Top Gun. Okay, and I'll show you why. So this is the beginning of the movie. I got two sequences of the movie. So we prepared a school to make people better than they already are. And it's going to help your countries to be better. Okay, but of course, this can be, you can think of this guy as me or Professor Stevens as an advisor, and of all of you as our PhD students. From time to time, you have to pull your ears. Okay, but sometimes we have to do this. Even if we are upset, you are indeed very good students. I believe all of you, and we have to, send you to a very nice conference in Arraial do Cabo to share experience at a Top Gun class.
Are going to Top Gun. For 5 weeks, you're going to
If you
fly
don't
against the best
enjoy the
fighter pilots
conference,
in the world. You were number 2.
there's no hope
number
for
1.
you.
Cougar lost and turned in his wings. You guys are number 1. But you remember one thing.
And so
You'll be flying a cargo plane full of rubber dog shit out of Hong Kong. Yes, sir. That is all.
puts down 12 planes during the Korea War, and then it came down to 3. And they say that people start to be, they start to depend on technology, and they lost their ability to fly. And I see this in many students. They got to depend on technology, on the very fancy and expensive and difficult to pilot instruments that we have in the lab, and we lost the ability to what? To ask good questions, to see the science behind the instrument. Okay. So pretty much that's what we are going to do these days. We will try to address the problems related with why people started stopped from asking good questions, but depend on the technology. Where are the possibilities to reverse this,
air combat maneuver.
this situation?
At the end of Vietnam, that ratio was back up to 12 to 1.
And there is another
I'd like to
important
take
thing
this
that
opportunity to
is
introduce you to our commanding officer, Top Gun.
if you're wondering who's the best, the names is on the panel in the end of the room.
And Mike Metcalf, call sign Viper.
Gentlemen, you are the top 1% all naval aviators.
Okay, if you are the best ones, I will probably invite you next year to come as an instructor.
We'll make you better. Fly at least 2 combat missions a day, 10 classes in between, and evaluations of your performance. Now, in each combat sequence, you're going to meet a different challenge. Every encounter is going to be much more difficult. We're going to teach you to fly the F-14 right to the edge of the envelope, faster than you've ever
So remember, we are all on the same team,
We don't make policy here.
but there are no points for second place.
Elected officials.
Because this is a very important thing to
We
know.
are the instruments
So
of policy.
you are all under
We're not at
the
war.
straight eye of natural
We
selection.
are.
Okay? So as I told you,
Severe.
we had already enough
Okay, some of
university
you wonder
professors.
who the best is.
Not all of you will be able to turn into a
Best driver in
university.
Israel from each class
You
has his name on
and
it.
who are deciding who will be the university professor? It's
They have
natural
the
selection.
option to come back here
So
as a
it's
Top Gun instructor.
very stressing Because if you don't publish enough,
You think your
you
name's
won't
gonna
be
be
able
on
to
that plaque?
have a permanent position. If you don't
Yes,
do
sir.
this, if you go to the movies
That's
instead
pretty
of
arrogant.
reading a paper, you are stressed that you won't get a permanent position. Okay, and that's
Yes, sir.
no life. And the
I
thing
like
is, you probably don't need to do that.
Remember, when it's
Because
over,
there are
I'll-
other alternatives than to become a university professor. Okay, in this ever-changing
Gentlemen,
world.
this school is about combat.
Okay?
There are no points for second place.
So as I said, I believe the problem that we became dependent on the technology and we started to produce very boring posters and very boring presentation in conferences is that we stopped asking good questions. We are focusing on the data, focusing on the answer. And as this is a very nice book from this Norwegian author, okay? And it's about this extraterrestrial that comes to Earth and get to know a boy, and they start to talk to each other and exchange experiences. And one of the things that when the boy asks a question to the extraterrestrial, he responds, an answer is always the stretch of a road that's behind you. Only a question can point you the way forward. So I believe that over the last generation of scientists, because of all the technology that we have, because of all the information that we have been focusing on the answer. And that's the problem that we have to reverse. We have to start looking at the question and ask good questions to select better the information that is available to us. So we must teach our students how to ask good questions. That was the answer that John Stegman gave to me last year when we first thought about this school. We wanted to give not a conference but a school for PhD students, and we were what would be interesting? And he said we must teach our students how to ask good questions. Okay, so this is a little bit of what we are going to see over the next days. Okay, those are 5 topics that I believe are very important to ask good questions. Of course, we have a lot of specialists in different areas of marine ecology and ecotoxicology. We have very nice presentations focusing on different aspects of this. But throughout these presentations, we will be looking at our ability to synthesize information, which is fundamental to ask a good question. Okay? So we have Sonia tomorrow talking about mental organization, and I will show you a little bit of how statistics and informatics can help us to synthesize information. Our ability to criticize. So I showed you, the first thing I showed you was a movie that I got from YouTube. So you can get a lot of things from YouTube. One very good example is, I don't know if you've ever seen a video that you have 2 cell phones talking to each other and an egg in the middle that is cooked by the microwave energy of the cell phone. And if you don't need to know the equations of Maxwell to know how electromagnetism helps a cell phone to work, to know that it's bullshit. 2 cell phones cannot cook an egg. Okay? So this information is wrong. And the more information, the more you know, the more you can criticize what is available to know if it's true or not. Okay? So we will discuss a little bit, I will show you a little bit today of what is important to criticize, which is an ability important to help select the information and ask good questions. Okay. Other important points are the ability to communicate this information, and to be a good communicator, you must read and write. If I ask all of you, how many of you have read more than 1 book this year? How many of you? Please raise your hand. Okay, we still have a lot of people that didn't raise their hands. Okay, and if I ask how many of you have read more than 5 books this year? Okay, 2, 3 people. That's bad. That's really bad. you must read more. Okay? And not only science, papers does not count to help you to be a better critic, okay? And to help you synthesize, to have the general information that will help you to ask good questions. You must read more, okay? And then not only read and write in your own language, but read and write in English, which is the science language, and read and write in other languages, because it will help you to come to a place like this with people from all over the world. You communicate even better. Okay? And in a globalized world, this is a very important ability. The ability to admire. So I'm a scientist. I focus on reason. I'm very proud of my reasoning. I'm very proud of my sense. But I have seen over the last few years, because I have focused so much on my reasoning, that the ability to admire nature is fundamental to help you to ask good questions. Okay? So a good sense of aesthetics is as important to a scientist as it is to an artist. Okay? So of course we think about aesthetics when you are an artist, a painter, a sculptor, but not when you are a scientist. But if we are all here together, we make an exercise. Okay, I want you to look around and to prepare a scientific question about things that we are looking around just in this room. No, we don't even need to look at the window with this beautiful view that we have here. Okay, and probably you will come out with many, many questions. Which ones or which one are the best questions? And because this is important, I believe you all are able to make a scientific question. It's one that can be answered with the scientific method. But which question we will choose to answer? And that's the difference between boring and interesting. And it has not only the science point of view, but it has also an aesthetic point of view. Okay? So this is something important. The hard part is that it's very hard to teach aesthetics. Okay? Either you have it or not. We can practice a little bit, but if you don't get admired by things, probably you won't be a very good scientist, or not the best one. Okay? And finally, the ability to create, which is the ability to make connections between everything else. Okay? So you have to synthesize, must have the meta-organization to select the information and to make the connections. This is helped by your ability to criticize and by your ability to communicate also. And one very important thing is repertoire. Okay? Without previous knowledge, you cannot make connections. So this thing about, oh, illiterate people, they are still very creative. Yes, some illiterate people are creative, but the more literate you are, the more creative you can be. Okay? This is absolute. There's no discussion about it.